like to reconvene our meeting, and we have some public hearing. And Mr. Kretz, where are you?
Well, first, Mr. Chairman, if I may, we need to come out of closed session. So if I may, the board needs a motion to certify the following statement. To the best of the members' knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted in the motion by which the closed session was called was considered or discussed in said closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Jesse and second by Mr. Bill Harris. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Bill Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden?
Yes.
Mr. Jesse?
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris?
Yes. All right, now we'll move into the public hearing section. And Mr. Kretz, you have two items to bring forward, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is rezoning application 2024-01 submitted by Delaware Corporation. The request is for the zoning reclassification of approximately 75 acres to light industrial. The property for which the reclassification is being requested is currently zoned low-density rural and is located at and adjacent to 310 Plainview Road, topping Virginia 23169. It's further identified as tax parcels 30-20-3, 30-110, and 30-110E, and that would be in the Saluda Magisterial District. Some site specifics. Again, the property is currently zoned low-density rural. Total property size is, according to the tax records, is 75, a little over 75 acres. The breakdown for the acreage on each parcel is listed there. Existing land use and an existing airport. One of the properties was recently conveyed property which now houses aircraft hangars and some vacant property. Comprehensive plan lists this parcel for industrial going forward. Surrounding land uses vary. To the north, you have some LDR residential. Northwest is LDR and residential, same way with the west. Northeast, you have some waterfront commercial and a little node of village community along Grace Point Road. East is LDR, residential and agricultural. Southeast is general business, commercial, LDR and residential. South is LDR residential, and southwest is an existing node of light industrial development. This depicts the current zoning and the property that's proposed to be rezoned. You can see on the next slide, this is the future land use map. So the rezoning will correlate with this particular future land use map, with the exception of that little parcel in the southeast that's currently owned by Mr. Perkinson. That is, although it's slated to go light industrial, that is not part of this application. And this is just an overview of the parcel showing the properties that'll be rezoned. The rezoning is being requested to allow development permitted in the light industrial zoning district. The county-owned airport property is being added to the request to conform with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan and to comply with the requirements of the light industrial district. The board may remember they authorized has concurred with the application that they would be part of this rezoning on their property. Future land use map depicts these properties as industrial, which is the comprehensive plan designation, which pretty much correlates with light industrial. The category designates those areas where industrial activities exist and or are planned. With the future land use map supporting the property to be upzoned to light industrial, staff feels the rezoning request is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. These economic goals would be achieved through this application. These are taken from the comprehensive plan as well, and you have your goals and you also have your objectives. So by rezoning this property, you're meeting, certainly checking your boxes with your comprehensive plan. Transportation, the property fronts on Route 3 Grays Point Road, Route 33 Plainview Road, and Route 694, which is Eubank Landing Road. Water service, we know that the Water Authority has the water line down Grays Point Road, may be accessible with this project if the developer so chooses. Also, you have wastewater disposal that's part of this conversation too. Of course, those are being talked about with the board now, so. Uses for the property, as I've already stated, there are varying uses adjoining the property. There's commercial and residential uses. Environmental, all development shall conform to all required laws and regulations, including but not limited to Article 4A Chesapeake Bay Preservation Area, Middlesex County Erosion Settlement Control Ordinance, Virginia Stormwater Regulations as administered by DEQ. According to the inventory mapping, no RPA buffers are shown on this property. Non-tidal wetlands may exist on the eastern portion of the property, which could inhibit some of the development. On Thursday, February 29th, the Airport Committee met to discuss the proposed changes and made a recommendation regarding the rezoning. The committee's decision was to recommend support for the rezoning request. Buffering and screening will have to conform to the development standards specified in the article. With that, staff recommends approval of rezoning 2024-01 as submitted. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 with 2 abstentions, 1 absent and 1 vacant to recommend approval of rezoning 2024-01. And with that, I will turn it over to the chair. Does anybody have any questions before I sit down? This matter? Tom?
No questions?
Yes, sir. All right, I'll step aside for the public hearing section. Thank you.
All righty. All right, I'd like to open the public hearing for item on the rezoning 2024-01 submitted by Delaware Corporation. Anyone like to speak? Yes, sir, please come forward. Please state your name and
Sure.
address.
My name is Scott Kaufman.
Okay, Mr.
I'm a
Kaufman.
former member of the Airport Committee.
Okay.
And early on, when I joined the Airport Committee, we took a trip to Louisa County Airport and met with the head of the Industrial Development Authority there. And he told us what the county was doing, what they were doing, how they were doing it, and of the huge benefit of having the airport and in the county. I remember I was highly impressed with it and came away thinking this is the way an airport should be run. So I just wanted to say I'm in total favor of everything that Mr. Barber is proposing. It sounds very similar to what was going on at Louisa County Airport, and I'm in total favor of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Mr. Flynn, would you come to the podium? I have not. I was going to use that as part of the public. Can I do that or not?
Yes, sir, you can, but if there's no more members of the public, Mr. Flynn is our attorney, so he would be outside of that.
No problem.
Yep.
Okay, no other comments. I will close the public hearing.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good. So as the person who spoke said, it's actually very accurate that airports are really industrial, commercial in nature. They're a much better mix. So with commercial operations, with industrial operations, they all make noise, and that makes them more compatible. I think this is, I would just say as an airport attorney, I think this change is really healthy for the Middlesex's future. You know, this change will be, you know, you'll see whatever happens from this 5 years, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years from now. And you do have the property to the east that's a part of this that's for light industrial, and that's, at some point, it may end up being a really good tax benefit for the citizens of the county. So certainly, as your attorney, I encourage you to make this rezoning. Happy to answer any questions you have about it.
You know I got one,
Oh, yes, sir.
right? Because of your expertise, if you will, on dealing with airport matters and the aviation, State Aviation Board, us rezoning this to light industrial, does that not fall in the category that is favorable for the aviation, State Aviation Board?
Oh, yes, for sure. The Virginia Aviation Board and the department, I think, will be very supportive. They officially stay out of local zoning decisions. But if, for example, when localities, well, the best example, Dulles Airport has, one of the counties adjacent to, that Dulles is in, recently has allowed residential really close to the airport. You know, and that can end up choking Dulles Airport at some time. And the Virginia Aviation Board weighed in on that, actually worked on getting the governor to weigh in on against that, showing that if going the other direction to a residential surrounding, and then at Leesburg, it's an airport that has the unfortunate situation of being owned by the town, but it's located in the county. And so the county doesn't have to worry about sharing the same values and goals. And the county had allowed a bunch of residential around that airport. Been a real harm, and the department has had heartburn over that for sure.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Help me with this, Madam Attorney.
Yes, sir. The applicant is here. I don't know if you have any specific questions for him, but if not, if there's no other discussion, you're ready for a motion. And it would be a motion regarding rezoning 2024-01.
Correct. Before I get to that, Mr. Barber, would you have anything you'd want to add?
Good afternoon. The only thing I can say is everything that I know that's getting ready or being prepared to be built there requires light industrial. And I know several buildings that are in the process of, and they all require light industrial.
Any questions for Mr. Barber? Thank you, sir. Okay. A motion would be in order to approve the zoning.
I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning of 2024-01.
Mr. Jesse has made the motion to
I'll
approve.
second.
And Mr. Williams has seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion carried. Mr. Kretz?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is actually housekeeping in response to the latest application and latest rezoning case. This is ordinance amendment 2024-02 initiated by Delaware Corporation. Request is for the purpose of amending Article 12, Section 12-3 by adding 12-3.26 and 27, if approved, light industrial of the Middlesex County zoning ordinance. The purpose of the amendment is to add publicly owned airports and aircraft-related services to the permitted uses. The purpose of the application is to amend Article 12.3, light industrial, to add publicly owned airports and associated infrastructure and aviation uses conducted on or adjacent to a public airport, including but not limited to storage, maintenance, sales, service, and fabrication of aircraft and aircraft accessories as permitted uses to the zoning ordinance. So what we found out is even though our comprehensive plan was telling us to rezone our airport property light industrial, the ordinance hadn't caught up. So this is a catch-up for the ordinance to make sure we have this as a allowed use. If we didn't make this change in the ordinance, our airport would then become legal non-conforming, which technically means you can't expand it. So not that it would be, we wouldn't have to discontinue it, but you want your, in zoning, you want permitted uses and you want conforming uses. So this makes the airport conform to the light industrial zoning ordinance. Just, it's basically keeping with respect to the rezoning. And of course, this application is in association with Delaware Corporation's request to rezone several parcels, including the airport property to light industrial. As I just said, publicly owned airports are not listed as a permitted use in the zoning ordinance or the zoning district. If the rezoning is approved and no amendment was made, as I said, you would be a non-conforming use. On Thursday, February 29th, the Airport Committee met to discuss the proposed changes and made a recommendation. The recommendation was to support the ordinance amendment request. Staff recommends approval of Ordinance Amendment 2024-02, and the Planning Commission voted 7-0 with 2 abstentions, 1 absent, and 1 vacant to recommend approval of Ordinance Amendment 2024-02. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kretz. Any questions for Mr. Kretz? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to open public comments on the Ordinance Amendment 2024-02. Anybody like to speak? I'd like to close the public comments. And a motion would be in order.
I'd like to motion to approve ordinance amendment 2024-02.
Second.
Mr. Bill Harris has made the motion on 2024-02, and it was seconded by Mr. Williams. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion is carried. I have nothing else on my agenda unless anybody else. Yes, ma'am?
You have 2 things, Matt, with the meeting, but you also have 1 more public comment period. There's 1 more at the end on your agenda, just a general public comment period.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and take care of that general one.
Okay, I'll open it for general comments. Anyone want to speak? If not, I will close public comments. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
And before you do,
Oh, sorry.
we have our budget ad going in the paper for advertisement on the 11th. That will put your budget public hearing on the 18th. Since we didn't finish a lot of our discussions this afternoon, I'm recommending the board consider another closed session for real estate acquisition discussion and advice of legal counsel. You can read that. At 6 o'clock on the 18th of April. We will let the media know and conduct ourselves accordingly. So we'd have a closed session to begin at 6, and then a public hearing for the budget would begin at 7, if
Okay.
that's okay with the board. And then our deliberation on the budget would happen on the 25th.
Any questions for Mr. Walker? Any further discussion? If not, a motion would be in order to change or add a work session on the 18th. Closed session. So moved by Mr. Crittenden,
Second.
second by Mr. Bill Harris. Any further discussions? Call the question, please. Roll call.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Bill Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion carried. It would be in order for a motion for adjournment now.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Jesse.
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. I assume there's no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
See.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes.